Hey guys, this is Danny here, and today I'm going over the 10 worst cards in mine and Soaps' games, specifically Sketchbook Chronicles Beta, Sketchbook Chronicles, and Sketchbook Chronicles Legacy. Let's get right into the honorable mentions. First off, Upside Down Pyramid. Now, I love this card, but I mean, idea-wise, it's just a pyramid that's upside down, and it's a monster. It has attack and block. It's just an upside down pyramid, but I do really like that card. Next up, Skunk. This, I mean, has okay art, I guess, for the game. And the ability, it's not that it's bad, it's super OP. So, Skunk Spray, both players return a card in hand when Skunk's placed. But you could just play Skunk and then return it to your hand. So if the player has one card on the field, and you happen to have one too, you just play Skunk, return Skunk to your hand, and they have to return their one card to their hand. Then you get to direct attack, and you can just repeat that every turn. Since you gain more Elixir than Skunk costs. So unless the other player places two monsters in one turn, they'd have to save up to that and let you direct attack more. So just OP, but not necessarily a worse card since it's good. And the third honorable mention is Running of the Bulls, not because the card's bad, and I kind of like the art. It's one of the early cards because it's called Running of the Bulls, and it's a monster. So pretty much, I'm going to place my monster Running of the Bulls. Running of the Bulls attacks Bob for 20 damage. It just kind of sounds more like spell's name, because a monster can't be a verb, I guess. I don't know. So let's start with number 10. Number 10. Tabletop Plants. So, this is one of the early-ish Sketchbook Chronicles cards, and, I mean, the art is very plain. It's just too many trees, I guess. And, the ability is that this card gains 1 elixir every 2 turns it's on the field. But I mean, it only has average block, which means it probably won't last more than 2 or 3 turns. So at most, you're gaining 1 elixir, and you gained 3 per turn in this game. So this is not very much a good ability. Number 9 is Rainbow Worm. Now, Rainbow Worm, it has a fairly forgettable art. It's just a worm that's rainbow-ish, just white and some gray, I guess. But its abilities, your opponent's landscapes have no effect while this card is on the field. And landscapes were in Sketchbook Chronicles Beta, which is card game it's in. And they're these good cards that you'd have one person would either person would have them, and they'd be doing this good stuff. But the problem with this is, while this card's on the field, landscapes won't have an effect. But it only has 100 block, which means this card could easily be killed. And at most, that's 1 or 2 turns where the opponent's landscape doesn't count. So, kind of silly. Number 8, we have Prisoners. This one, I mean, it has a fine ability. Kind of complicated, but fine. Just the art, I mean, this was my 7th Sketchbook Chronicles card. And if you look, just the cages in this jail, the lines are, like, badly bent. You just saw my gross fingernail. Badly bent cages, just not a lot of work went into making these cages look good, and the prisoners look and this one on the left is floating in the sky or something. I don't know. That one also floating, but he has like chains. But still, just not great art, I guess. Number 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Number 7. Bad Dragon. It has bad in its name. That's not because it's bad at the game, it's because art's not great. In the fact, I just drew, it originally didn't have wings. It looked like it was coming out of like a bottle. If you look, I don't know, like a genie dragon. The wings don't even look great. It looks like it has bunny ears, and it was supposed to be like fire coming out of its nose, which just looks like a weird mustache or something. I don't even know. Okay ability, but just art, not great. Next up, from Sketchbook Chronicles Beta, this is number 6, is Ghul. This is a Soaps card, and it's just, pretty much, it's just a Ghul from Wizard 101. He drew it in the same style, so it's just not original at all. And I mean, yeah. Number 5 card is JanSport Backpack from Sketchbook Chronicles Legacy, and this card, its ability is equipped card, has ×2 resistance and no weakness. Now, so Sketchbook Chronicles cards, Sketchbook Chronicles Legacy cards, here's one for example, would have weakness or resistance to a specific type. But the thing is, we didn't implement this in all the cards, and a lot of them would have none or only one, either weakness or resistance. And then when you did have cards that had weakness or resistance, they were like never on the field against the cards that had weakness or resistance against them. So this card had like no functionality. Like there'd be no use for it 95% of the time. So it wasn't worth putting. It was just a waste of your deck space because you're like would never get to use it. Number 4, Gunpowder was an ability from Sketchbook Chronicles. And this card stays on the field for 2 turns. When fire monsters enter battle, they gain plus 40 attack. There's a lot of things wrong with this ability. First of all, I mean, it's just a pile of gunpowder. That's not a huge criticism though. It's the ability that's bad because first of all, this costs 3 elixir, and you get it on 2 turns. So 40 attack's not even that great in the first place. You have to be placing monsters in those 2 turns. So at most you could place like 2 or 3 monsters in 2 turns. They'd all get a slight health boost for the cost of a monster. And they'd have to be fire monsters, so you'd have to have like a fire deck. This just was not a very useful card. And then number 3, Monster on Stick. You might recognize him. Yes, it's this guy. It's a DS stylus. I needed some inspiration. This is Sketchbook Chronicles Beta. You probably can tell by now based on the templates which ones these are which. And its ability is terrible. Plus 20 block for all death monsters on the field. So, I mean, his attack was super low, only 20 damage. So it's not like he would have been worth anything. But also, even if you had like 3 death monsters all in the field when you place him, which is probably somewhat unlikely, you'd only get 60 block. So you'd have 260 block, which is very average. And just this card was just not very good. Not really any point of having him. Number 2, Lego Floors, the landscape, which I went over from Sketchbook Chronicles Beta. And so the ability isn't terrible. Any monster the opponent places loses 40 block. But this art is atrocious. Like, look at this. These are supposed to be Legos. No copyright, please, I guess. But they're terrible art. I don't know if that was supposed to be a minifigure or what, but this is just awful art. I made it, but awful. I don't know how you could have made something this bad. It's just awful. Number 1 is 1. No joke. 1. This is a Sketchbook Chronicles Beta card. 1 elixir is what it costs. It has 1 attack, 1 block, and when killed, both players gain 1 point. So rather than, usually when a monster's killed, the opponent gains 1 point, but with this one, you gain a point too. Which, I mean, but you're just placing someone just to gain a point. So the only time this would be useful is if you have 14 points, you need 1 more point to win, and the opponent doesn't have that many. So they couldn't kill it, or else you'd win. But then they can just not kill it, I guess. I mean, that's not that hard to do. Also, I mean, I don't know where I got this idea, but the art is just a bad, sloppy number 1 saying 1. There's no imagination going into this card. Okay. Anyway, that's all for today in the 10 worst Sketchbook Chronicle Beta cards. Not Sketchbook Chronicle Betas. Just 10 worst cards ever. Of all card games of all time. They're all by me and Soaps. Yeah.